Putting it on. How does that work?
So just put on this thing. Here we go.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
VR is one of those things that when you experience it, it changes you.
Oh my God. This is so weird.
Oculus, the Oculus product is essentially allowing you to sit at a computer and instead of having to look at a screen, is somewhere else. It's not no longer the room you're in.
Okay. I am... that's a thing.
On the outside, it looks like this strange box that people sort of look around in, and if you look at images on screen of how it might look, it doesn't truly represent what it's actually like. And when you feel presence, when you experience another place in another situation, you can't help but be completely drawn and absorbed by where you are.
That is too scary. I can't stay in that.
VR was initially popular back in the mid-90s. I remember experiencing one of the first VR experiences was called Dactyl Nightmare, and I remember at the time experiencing it and knowing that everything changed with this technology.
So in 1990, when I was working in Cambridge, Massachusetts, I actually came across an article in a new magazine called Mondo 2000 that was written by a man named Jaron Lanier about virtual reality. And there's a single line that really changed my life. And he said, look, virtual reality isn't the television of the future. Virtual reality is the telephone of the future. And from that moment, my life began this sort of correction and reorientation around this very new field that I found incredibly exciting, virtual reality.
Even though there was a big explosion of hype and we had movies and books and everything that extolled on that idea of virtual reality, what it could mean, the hardware wasn't ready yet.
So it wasn't processing power that was the problem. It was, how do we construct these worlds? How do we make these worlds emotionally effective? And how do we give a place for people in these worlds? One of the things that we learned 20, 25 years ago was that the presence of the body is actually fantastically important inside of virtual reality. Even though it seems like it's the first thing that you leave behind, it's also the first thing that you need to bring along.
A lot of different technologies and a lot of different ideas that all came together to be able to build the system that we've built at Zero Latencies. It was a lot of things, but mostly around just the experience, wanting to be able to get out of the chair when we experience virtual reality and actually go and walk through a virtual world as if we were really there. Because you're no longer sitting and looking at a screen and just using a keyboard and mouse. You've got the VR goggles, which is effectively you're kind of like a screen replacement. So there's a fair few of those. There's things like Oculus, there's OSVR, 3 Glasses, there's HTC Vive. There's heaps of different options there. And they also have their own ways of actually interacting with the virtual world as well. So you've got the Oculus Touch sensors, which are the sort of controllers that you hold in your hand. It allows you to see your hands in the VR world. The HTC Vive has a very similar thing with its with the ones that it uses with its Lighthouse system. So there's other options around moving around using treadmills and all sorts of stuff. It feels a lot more real. It brings a whole new level of immersion to gaming, I think, and general online interactions.
Entertainment, it's not that interesting to me, not because it's not a moneymaker. I think it will make a lot of money, but I don't think that it's pushing our creative bounds around what's possible to help change life for ourselves.
In thinking about arts and culture, I think for education purposes it could be really interesting to give people experiences of exhibitions that can't come to a gallery, like people in regional areas or remote areas. Having the headset on, because everything else is really blocked out, like you've just got that sound, you're not talking to other people who you might be with in a gallery space, you've just got the sound of the works and you've just got those visuals. I think it probably really elevates the work, like you really are 100% focused on the work. And so there's that replicating a real life experience in virtual reality, but probably more interesting is what can you do that's not just that you can't potentially do in a physical space as well.
It's like saying, which part of the automobile are you excited about the most? You know, it completely transformed how we move, how we communicate, how we get around, how suburbs were built, how economies were generated, and I think VR is going to have that same kind of impact.
It will be a great entertainment medium, there's no question about that. I'm more interested about what happens when I have an immersive live broadcast coming from the war zone in Syria. And what does that mean for news reporting? What does that mean for how we feel about things like this?
We don't know what it's going to do and how applicable it's going to be to our lives or how it's going to transform our lives, but it's going to touch and affect everything that we do. So I'm really excited by the idea of going somewhere else, of VR being able to take me to places I've never been before that I couldn't experience in any other way. It wasn't ready in the 90s, it's about to be ready now.